Hello fellow citizens, so Metaverse is George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 14th of October, and to be honest, ever since the inflation numbers were out, the global cryptocurrency market is not doing good at all. So it looks like the last quarter of 2022 is definitely in a bearish market. In today's Metaverse Everything podcast, what I'm going to be talking about is Web 3.0 and Metaverse. Now listen guys, there's a lot of rumor and incorrect information regarding Web 3.0. So today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be sharing my opinion and debunking Web 3.0 and Metaverse. I'm going to be sharing my points regarding the reality and bullshit so far as Web 3.0 is concerned. And is Web 3.0 just a buzzword for marketing Metaverse and getting funds from venture capitalists and hedge funds? In today's episode, I'm also going to be discussing the Metaquest Pro. Now listen guys, you might dislike Meta or Facebook, but Metaquest Pro most likely could be a game changer. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing the good side, the bad side, and the hefty price of Metaquest Pro. And I'll be discussing the technical specification, but more importantly, I'm going to be discussing the partnership that Meta has. And they have some really strong partnership with Microsoft and even Accenture. So we'll be exploring that in today's episode. Now, I do feel that Meta or Facebook will have a competitive advantage in the Metaverse. And if you're a startup or a business or an entity trying to build something in Metaverse, I definitely do feel that you need to partner with Meta. And if you're a business entity focusing on business applications or business dApps, that is decentralized apps, I do think you need to start looking at Metaquest Pro. And in every Metaverse Everything podcast, we also discuss the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from UAE. And this particular week in Dubai, we had GITEX Global, and there were massive events so far as blockchain is concerned, and there was an entire section dedicated only to Metaverse called as Xverse, and this was sponsored by Decentraland as well. So in today's episode, I'll very briefly share my experience on Xverse and the whole GITEX Global as well. So let's kickstart today's episode. Now we are going to kickstart by looking at the price of cryptocurrencies that are linked to Metaverse. So we look at the price of ApeCoin, Decentraland, Sandbox, Axie Infinity, and Theta Network. And as time goes by, I do feel guys that these cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse will change, and there might be newer protocol that is catered only to Metaverse that will be in the top 5. We are also going to be exploring the market cap and 24-hour trading volume of these platforms. So let's kickstart today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's Atim here in Dubai and you're listening to Metaverse Everything podcast, where we solely focus on Metaverse. We cover top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And Metaverse Everything is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. And remember guys, Monday to Thursdays, we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how these series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well. News that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. And Monday to Thursdays, I also cover 2 news and information related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And Monday to Thursdays, I also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. So let's kickstart today's episode. Yesterday, the 13th of October, the inflation numbers were out, and to be honest, the inflation numbers are not looking good at all, and it has had a severe impact on the price of global cryptocurrency market. This has also had a severe impact on the blockchain and cryptocurrency platforms that are linked to Metaverse. The market cap has gone down by 1.38%, and as of today, 14th of October, it stands at $11.4 billion. This is a ridiculously low volume. The 24-hour trading volume, though, has gone up since the last 24 hours. And since the last 24 hours, it is up by 70.35%. Now, what that means is, when the market cap goes down, and if the 24-hour trading volume increases, it just means that people are selling and not hodling anymore. And the 24-hour trading volume is up at $1.75 billion. Now let's look at the top 5 platforms ApeCoin is currently at $4.64, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 3.74%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 12%. Decentraland or Mana is currently at 63 cents, and it is down by 2.01%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 8.48%. And last week we talked about some drama so far as the active daily users for Decentraland and Sandbox, ridiculously bad numbers. The Sandbox price is at 76 cents, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 2.02%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 9.22%. Axie Infinity is at $11.10, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 3.85%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 12.47%. Theta Network or Theta is at $1.01, and since the last 24 hours it is down by 1.06%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 6.68%. Now guys, I'm going to make out a prediction. In the next 3 to 5 years, I very strongly feel that none of these platforms will be in the top 5 so far as Metaverse is concerned. I do feel that there will be newer protocols that are solely catered only to Metaverse that will be in the top 5. What are your thoughts? Mention them in the comments below. Now in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about Web 3.0 and Metaverse. And one of the reasons why I thought about discussing this is when I try to attend events so far as blockchain technology is concerned, or cryptocurrency is concerned, or even Metaverse is concerned, I do feel that there is a lot of incorrect information regarding Web 3.0. What we at Blockchain DXP feel is that Web 3.0 is just another buzzword in order to get more funds by venture capitals and hedge funds. Now, before we truly understand what Web 3.0 is, it is so important to understand what Bitcoin is. Because according to me, according to a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, and to be honest, according to a lot of cypherpunks, Bitcoin is the so-called Web 3.0. Anything other than that is purely just fluff. Now, let me quickly talk about what Web 3.0 is. Essentially, Web 3.0 is claimed to be the new iteration of the World Wide Web. So it tackles 6 things, that is decentralization. It does have certain elements of blockchain technology, tokenomics, data security, scalability, and privacy. And to be honest, Bitcoin does a brilliant job in all of these things. The big question is, how does Metaverse merge with Web 3.0? Now let's quickly look at what some people in the cryptocurrency industry and in the fintech industry have their thoughts regarding Web 3.0. Now the terminology Web 3.0 was coined by Dr. Gavin Wood, and Dr. Gavin Wood was the co-founder of Ethereum, and he's also the creator of Polkadot. Now this terminology was created by him in 2014. Surprisingly, it's only in 2021 where a lot of mainstream media in the cryptocurrency space decided to talk about Web 3.0. And some iconic figures like Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey are not in favor of Web 3.0. And to be honest, even I echo the same sentiments as well. Now Jimmy Song, one of the Bitcoin maximalists and one of the greatest educators on Bitcoin, also has a massive rant video discussing Bitcoin and Web 3.0. So go to YouTube, look up Jimmy Song Bitcoin versus Web 3.0. Now I do admit with a lot of the sentiments that Bitcoin maximalists echo so far as Web 3.0 is concerned, a lot of that is purely fluff. If you look at blockchain protocols, the centralization of wealth so far as cryptocurrencies is concerned is among selected few individuals. Now there is this notion that Web 3.0 will be a game changer. Unfortunately, I definitely do not think so. Web 3.0 will run in tandem with Web 2.0. That is just a fact. And I strongly feel, guys, that Web 3.0 is just another buzzword to get funds from venture capitals and hedge funds. Now, there are few areas where I do think Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. And to be honest, I can only think of 3 of them. Now, if you guys do have any comments or suggestions, mention them in the comments below. Now, the first area where I think Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse is the login credentials. So rather than using your email address or Facebook account, you utilize private key and public key. That is one area where I do think Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. So let's say when you log into your Metaverse protocol, rather than using your email or password or username and password, once you sign in with your private key which is connected to your public key, that is one area I feel Web3 merges with Metaverse. The second area is the medium of exchange. So in Metaverse, when you talk about payments or medium of exchange, that is the only area where I very strongly feel Web 3.0 has its brilliant use case. And so far as medium of exchange and payments is concerned, I very strongly feel that Bitcoin via Lightning Network does tackle the blockchain trilemma problem, that is decentralization, security, and scalability. After Bitcoin Lightning Network, the second option, which I think is an ideal form for payment and medium of exchange in the metaverse, is central bank digital currencies or stable coins. Finally, even fiat currencies can be used as a medium of exchange and payments. So the bridging protocol that accepts medium of exchange and payments, that is one area I do think Web 3.0 merges with metaverse. And finally, cryptocurrencies can also be utilized in the metaverse or even tokens. Now, Meta or Facebook, it is a centralized entity, but one of the plans is to issue tokens. Now, these particular tokens can be connected to your private key, which will be connected to your wallet, and that is an area where I think Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. Also, NFTs, that is non-fungible tokens, that being connected in the Metaverse will also be a perfect use case of Web 3.0 and Metaverse. And one of the reasons why I do think that Web 3.0 is just a hype for marketing is because if you have been in the cryptocurrency space, you would have been aware of the ICO hype or initial coin offering hype. After that, it was the whole DeFi hype, that is decentralized finance hype, followed by the NFT hype, and right now it is the Metaverse hype, which merges perfectly well with the whole Web 3.0 hype. And guys, one thing you need to remember when you talk about Web 3.0, you also need to be aware of the blockchain trilemma problem. Unfortunately, if you look at it, a centralized protocol do a better job in all three of them. And this whole notion that blockchain can solve a lot of these things are not true, because blockchain and cryptocurrency protocols do have a very high degree of centralization, which defeats the whole purpose of Web 3.0. So I really am not sure what other areas Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. Now, I do feel that zero knowledge proof is an area which would be a game changer in the metaverse. But listen to this, guys. This is what I think. A centralized protocol such as Meta or Facebook, if they were to implement zero knowledge proof, they can solve a lot of the problems with Web 2.0. One of the problems with implementing zero knowledge proof is the cost associated with it. But if a centralized entity implements zero knowledge proof, make its source completely open source, then I do think we might be in a position to have a win-win solution, and we might just be touching base on the whole Web3 area merging with Metaverse. Now, one thing to note is when you're talking about making the code completely open source, it needs to be completely open, audited by absolutely anyone at any point of time, but this thing will still be done by a centralized entity. So what are your thoughts? Mention them in the comments below. Now guys, let's look at the massive news that is going on in the Metaverse industry, that is Metaquest Pro. And Metaquest Pro is being released by Meta or Facebook, and they've started the pre-orders, which starts at $1,499. Before you make any judgments about this, you need to understand that this particular headset is catered more towards business entities and not necessarily for individuals and day-to-day activity. That being said, you can very well use it for your daily use case as well. And Metaquest Pro is a multifunctional virtual reality and a mixed reality device designed to help you to do your best work and make meaningful connections with the people you care about the most, all while providing a glimpse of what augmented reality device might be capable of. And guys, if you watch the video of Metaquest Pro, it does not do quite a lot of justice. What I would really strongly recommend you to do is Metaquest on its YouTube channel has a long video, well over 1 hour long, with Mark Zuckerberg explaining each and every detail at a technical level. I would really strongly recommend you guys to go ahead and watch the entire thing. And surprisingly, since the time the video was released, only 60,000 people have watched the entire video, and it is a bit technical, but if you are in the metaverse industry, if you are a startup, or if you're a business trying to build on the metaverse, you definitely need to check it out. I'm very briefly going to explain what the Metaverse Quest Pro is. Firstly, the headset is designed to suit premium comfort, and it's also a transformative experience between augmented reality, mixed reality, and it does have very strong indication of augmented reality as well. The third one is it captures natural expression. So think of it, when you're doing a Zoom session, your eye movements are not directed or connected to the other person's eye. But with MetaQuest Pro, you will be able to do that. It will be similar to talking to someone in the real world. The fourth one is the MetaQuest touchpad, and the controls is something completely unique. They also have another device which will be connected to the Touch Pro, and you can utilize that to make further drawings, something similar to Apple Pencil. And the next point is it is a next generation optics, which I'll talk about in the next few minutes. And they have new high performance hardware. And the greatest thing is that the MetaQuest Pro is backward compatible, which means all the apps that are working with MetaQuest 2 will be accessible with MetaQuest Pro as well. And there are different functionalities that makes multitasking completely easy. It also comes with a unique charging box. So if you watch the video on YouTube, a really interesting new charging device has been created, and they have flexible levels of immersion. So at a macro level, when you talk about MetaQuest Pro, I definitely think they're competing with Microsoft's HoloLens 2.0. And the whole MetaQuest Pro is designed for next generation optics, a full colored mixed reality, a sleek new design, self-tracking controllers, more natural facial expressions for avatars, and MetaQuest Pro accessories. Let me try to give some more information. Now listen guys, if you are a startup or a business entity working in Metaverse, I would really recommend you guys to go out and watch the entire Meta's keynote event. And I'm going to be sharing some information that Mark Zuckerberg and his team talked about at the Meta keynote event. And I do feel that Meta is heading in the right direction so far as making mainstream adoption of Metaverse is concerned. At the keynote event, he did share some numbers about MetaQuest, and they discussed how 1 in 3 apps in the Horizon platform are making revenues in millions. Now, if you are an app developer, you definitely need to get your Metaverse app in Horizon. And 33 apps are currently making more than $10 million in gross revenue. And the number of apps making $5 million or more has doubled since the last year. So definitely great numbers. Now, when they talked about the Metaverse Quest Pro, it's focusing more on social possibilities, and they want to combine the virtual reality experience. But the MetaQuest Pro features will also give the option to get connected to the regular browser as well. So I'm not sure if that would be a game changer, but let's say someone who does not have their headsets, they can still utilize the functionality of MetaQuest Pro. And they discuss some information about YouTube VR, which is one of the top performing apps, and Rooftop 42, which is one of the most successful apps so far as podcast is concerned. Now listen guys, in last week's episode, I did talk about having a Metaverse podcast in Metaverse, so I'm definitely going to be checking out Rooftop 42. And they discussed how they have partnership with NBC Universal and some really crucial information regarding a Peacock app, so definitely check it out. But one thing according to me which was a game changer is a thing called as personal space. So what it is when you log into your device, you will be having your own personal space. And think of it something similar to your living room. So you'll be able to invite people, hang out with people in your personal space, and you will be able to customize it. So this, according to me, is a game changer. Now, areas where Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse is the personal space. So imagine you log into your personal space using only your private and public key. If that thing happens, then Meta or anyone else will not be in a position to make any changes, and you have full control over your personal space. So according to me, the personal space feature will be a game changer, not just for Meta but also for the Metaverse industry. And Mark Zuckerberg, he also talked about some partnership regarding the gaming industry, and they have some strong partnership with Marvel. And they showed some information regarding Iron Man, Walking Dead, Resident Evil. Now listen guys, if you are into gaming, gaming industry is definitely going to make massive waves in the metaverse industry. And what I particularly liked is about health and fitness. And they discussed Les Mills, how they already have health and fitness workout in the metaverse. And I do remember Les Mills earlier this year in Dubai also had the workout sessions in the metaverse, and the number of people attending that was ridiculously high. So Les Mills is definitely being an early adopter in the gaming industry in the metaverse. And they also talked about a Metaquest 2 active pack and a fitness API data. So looks like fitness industry is definitely making its move in the metaverse. And guys, if you are in Dubai later on in the month, Dubai also has Dubai Fitness Challenge. I would be really keen to see gyms in Dubai getting into the metaverse platform now. And with Dubai Fitness Challenge, it would be really cool to have some blockchain protocols or metaverse companies in Dubai making partnership with Dubai Fitness Challenge. Another game changer with Meta announced at the keynote event was the workspace. So Meta or Facebook is also planning to have a Horizon workroom, and we'll talk about how a partnership with Microsoft takes it at a new level. So the big question is, will Metaquest Pro dominate the metaverse market? At the keynote, what I really liked is that Mark Zuckerberg did say that he's looking for an open, interoperable metaverse, and he genuinely feels that an open, interoperable metaverse is generally better for absolutely anyone. Now, let me share some more technical information regarding the Metaverse Pro headset. Now, so far as the technical aspect is concerned, that the Metaverse Pro headset has a display which is 40% thinner, and the LCD has 37 more pixels per inch and 75% more contrast and 50% more power. And they're using Snapdragon, and they also have a partnership with Qualcomm. And this is something which I covered, I believe, at least 2 months in my Metaverse Everything podcast as well. And they're also trying to merge virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Now, they had some really strong partnership. The first one was with Microsoft. Now, listen, guys, this is going to be an absolute game changer. So, Microsoft team is partnering with Metaverse via Metaquest. This is absolutely massive, and they're going to have Horizon workrooms for teams. And Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, he explained how Microsoft 365 can be utilized in 3D spaces. So guys, imagine doing your teamwork or brainstorming sessions using Microsoft 365 with Metaquest Pro. I do feel that this would be an absolute game changer. Now you also need to expand your horizon and think of it beyond your regular working hours. Let's say if there are certain experiments that you want to do, the transfer of data and information takes it at a completely unique and brilliant level. Now the Microsoft partnership also involves Xbox as well. Xbox is one of the leading players in the gaming industry, and they are partnering with Meta. So Metaquest Pro and Xbox will be an absolute game changer. They also talked about a partnership with Accenture, and the key person from Accenture, she actually said that they've already bought X number of headsets to train the employees. And Accenture, I believe they have over 700,000 people working for them, and what they plan to do is the induction, they want to do it in the metaverse, and they're doing that in a partnership with Meta. And Metaquest Pro does take this to another level. And guys, finally, what I really liked at the keynote event was they were discussing about avatars. Now, all the information that you're seeing via LinkedIn or mainstream media about the avatar, all of that are incorrect information. I would really recommend you guys to go ahead and watch the entire video. Mark Zuckerberg talked about a full body avatar with legs. I was under the impression that having legs is no big deal, but he did actually explain what are some of the challenges with having legs. But the big news is that the new avatars will be a full body avatars with legs, and you'll also have the ability to have multiple avatars, animations, and video chat. So imagine doing a video chat, but rather than using your own face, you will be in a position to use your avatar, and you'll also be able to customize your avatar as well. So the use case is absolutely humongous. The last point that I'd like to discuss is a partnership that they have with Ray-Ban. Now, Ray-Ban and Meta is a massive big deal because Ray-Ban, what they're planning to do is they're planning to release a new set of sunglasses. This particular sunglasses will be connected to Meta. And what this will do is it will have functionality where you can take pictures, you'll be able to take videos, but it will be connected in a way like augmented reality. They've also connected and has a partnership with Spotify as well. So quite a lot more. And the final thing that they talked about is a future plan regarding neuro devices. So most likely, maybe in the next few years down the line, Metaquest headsets will be connected to neuro devices. So using your hands, you'll be able to make few decisions. And if you're watching that video towards the end, they also talked about codec avatars. The codec avatars is literally a real-time image of yourself. So rather than having fancy avatars, you can have your own particular image as an avatar, and the image quality is 100% as real life. And they talked about how you can just utilize your mobile phone, do a couple of expressions, and your real life image will be converted into your avatar. And this is something which Mark Zuckerberg did mention in his interview. I believe it was with either Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan, or it might be at one of the YouTube interviews where he actually mentioned the importance of having your own image as your avatar. And that is something with Meta, and most likely other competitors will be building as well. So these are my thoughts so far as Metaquest Pro. And listen guys, if you are a business entity, you definitely need to check out Metaquest Pro. If you're a startup, if you're working or building something in Metaverse, Metaquest Pro, I do believe, despite its hefty price tag, will be an absolute game changer. Now guys, before we move on to top 5 Metaverse news from around the world, I just wanted to share my experience at GITEX Global. There was a session or a building dedicated only to Metaverse and called as Xverse. And to be honest guys, the experience was extremely disappointing. A lot of the startups in the Xverse section, they pretty much had no idea what Metaverse is. And something which I also talked about in my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast, that some of the speakers, they were just literally talking everything about McKinsey's report. They did not have thorough understanding of what Web 3.0 is, what blockchain technology is, and how it merges well with Metaverse. The only thing that I can think of is the Microsoft HoloLens 2.0. Other than that, to be completely honest, the entire Xverse event from a Metaverse point of view was extremely disappointing. But let's say if you are an individual who has no information on the technical elements of blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies or Metaverse, and if you want to get into Metaverse, you might think that this is, if not, one of the best events. So it depends on your knowledge and understanding of Metaverse. If you're a completely newbie or just getting into the Metaverse, you might be thinking that this was, if not one of the best events so far as Metaverse is concerned. But as a person working in the industry who has some technical knowledge and hands-on knowledge in Metaverse, I must say that the event was extremely disappointing. Now guys, let's look at top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. And surprisingly guys, out of the top 5, 3 of them have to do with sports and 2 of them have to do with soccer or football. And this most likely is because of the World Cup, which is taking place later in the year. So the first news is FIFA and Roblox, and they are having a partnership. So the news is that FIFA and Roblox launch new Metaverse world ahead of Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup to feature video content, in-game events, social spaces, rewards options, and virtual collectibles. So definitely massive news. The second news is also to do with sports, and this is all the way from Singapore. So Meta Sports is planning to create the world's first Metaverse sports industry ecology, and Metaverse sports combined with virtual reality, augmented reality, and other technologies will create a Metaverse viewing platform, bringing a new experience of live tournaments where users can pay tokens to watch the match. At the same time, the platform will earn advertising revenues as well. So brilliant use case. Now again, is this part of Web 3.0? I really am not sure. There are only certain elements such as tokens in this case does touch into some elements of Web 3.0. The third one is about XD.com, and they have a beautiful building in Dubai as well. But this news is once again connected to Singapore. So the news is that Xverse, also called as Vive, which is a Metaverse project, is joining Metaverse Startup Accelerator and IMDA, and it gets listed on XD.com in main zone. And XD.com is the world's first social infused exchange. So definitely brilliant news. And I do have one of a good friend and a colleague of mine who's the podcast host and lead at xt.com. The fourth news is about a partnership, and the terminology that they've used is football. So the terminology varies depending on which part of the world that you're living. It is either football or soccer. So the news is that Topgolf signed strategic partnership with Galax for football metaverse, and Topgolf metaverse will allow football fans, gamers, and crypto users to interact with clubs and players. And Topgolf will also issue NFT badges. So again, a brilliant use case so far as NFT is concerned. It's going to be really interesting to see what the utility of these NFT badges are. The fifth and final news is all the way from India, and this is to do with a massive celebration called as Diwali. So the news is Diwali on Metaverse, and celebrating Diwali on Metaverse could soon be a reality, not just in India but also in Dubai as well, as social interactions are being transformed using technologies. And this was told by Dr. Aman Puri, who is the Consulate General of India. So absolutely brilliant and massive news. Now guys, let's talk about top 5 metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And last week, Dubai was the center of the world so far as metaverse is concerned because of the GITEX global event that took place. The first news is about DEVA, that is Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, and they have launched DEVAverse platform on the metaverse and became the first local government organization to launch its platform on the metaverse to provide its services to customers, employees, and members of the society. So DEVA invests in metaverse technology to implement and develop its current and future projects, which contributes towards stakeholder happiness, the development of business, enhancing efficiency and production, and reducing cost. And this news, guys, was announced during DEVA's digital transformations during committee meeting, where McKinsey also attended and presented the Digital Quotient Assessment 2022 report, and they highlighted that DEVA has maintained its position as a global digital leader in utilities. So brilliant use case. The second news is something which I'm really excited about, and this is about having metaverse in schools as well. Now listen guys, what I tend to do is I tend to interview startups and businesses from all over the world regarding metaverse, and one of the questions that I ask them is which industry is most likely going to be affected by metaverse, and a lot of them do actually say education, and this news has to do with that. So the news is Nostraverse launches new metaverse initiative for Dubai schools, and the initiative is about creating a virtual environment that allows interconnecting different schools together and the possibility to implement virtual classrooms. So definitely brilliant use case. And Sam Clever, who's the CEO of Nostraverse, in an interview with College Times said that the school entity itself will grasp the opportunity of education in the metaverse through conducting lectures and classes virtually, yet with the highest levels of interactions and an immersive experience, hence putting the schools on the cutting edge of technology through metaverse adoption. They can own their digital twins, which could be an opportunity for tournaments between schools on various activities to be taking place like football, ping pong, and chess, conducting meeting at the school's virtual property rather than parents, for example, having to go out on the way to attend Parents' Day to speak with the kids' teachers. This is a brilliant use case, but imagine, guys, how Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. Now, if a parent were to use the private key and public key, that is the only time Web 3.0 merges with Metaverse. If the parent or student were to use the school's email or password, then it still goes back to Web 2.0. And the third news, guys, which I'd like to talk about is Wolf, that is World Online Festival. And Wolf has announced that it will produce over 10,000 live performances in October from its Wolf's Star program, which helps bring user-generated entertainment to the metaverse. Now, I did meet the team, and this was not at the Xverse session. I met them, I believe it was in Zabil Hall, and I did speak to the CEO, and most likely I might be having a one-to-one session with Gary Knight, and we'll be discussing what they're planning to do so far as bringing in 10,000 Arabic live shows. Now, I do believe that the team is based in Saudi Arabia as well, because on the business card it does have quite a lot of information from Saudi Arabia as well. It's going to be really interesting to see what they are planning to do. Now, he did mention that they already have this app working live, and they do have quite a lot of events currently taking place in the app as well. So, Wolf, or the World's Online Festival, is a popular destination for content creators, singers, poets, comedians, chat show hosts, and rappers who join the platform to showcase their talent. And as per the news article, it says that there are currently over 500 Wolf stars creating regular podcast style talk shows in Arabic across the app. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this entire thing merges with augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality headsets as well. The fourth news, guys, is all the way from Sharjah. And Sharjah is making some massive news in Metaverse as well. And the project that they have is called as Sharjahverse. And the new Metaverse city dubbed Sharjahverse was described by Multiverse Labs as a photorealistic, physics-accurate metaverse that encompasses the Emirates' 1,000 square mile surface area. Absolutely massive. And the Metaverse city is backed by the Sharjah Commerce and Tourism Development Authority, or called as SCTDA, which is the main government agency tasked with promoting the Emirates tourism industry. Brilliant use case. And the fifth and the final news, guys, is about E&, Universe. So I'm not sure if Etisalat has changed their name or if they have a new branch called as E&. The naming is really unique and brilliant. So the news is that the UAE telecom giant E& enters the metaverse developed in partnership with HTC, the manufacturer of virtual reality and mobile devices. E& Universe will be hosted virtually on Mars. And I was just looking at some more information, and looks like E& is definitely making its headway into the metaverse, particularly in Dubai and UAE. And while I was preparing for this podcast, there's also some news that they're getting into some funds trying to help new businesses and startup build products in the metaverse. So definitely, guys, absolutely brilliant use case. So those were the top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And that's all for today, guys, on Metaverse Everything podcast from Blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com or info@area2071.com, and check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com that talks everything about Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and check out my website area2071.com that talks everything about Metaverse. Listen, guys, if you like this episode, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how this series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And guys, Monday to Thursdays, I also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. And what you're listening to right now is the Metaverse Everything podcast, where we talk everything about Metaverse. And Metaverse Everything podcast is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.